It was a cool autumn night in a small village on the edge of a dense forest. The houses lay still and deserted, while the inhabitants slept deeply. Only the faint rustling of leaves moving in the wind broke the silence. 8-year-old Jonas lay in his bed, wrapped in his blanket. He loved listening to the sounds of the night before falling asleep. It was a comforting routine that helped him drift off. But that night, something was different. It wasn't the usual calm that surrounded the little boy. A scratching sound, quiet and almost imperceptible, reached his ear. Jonas opened his eyes and stared into the darkness of his room. Was there something there? He sat up, listening intently. The scratching repeated, this time louder. It came from the window. Slowly, he pushed the blanket aside and placed his bare feet on the cold floor. He crept to the window and pulled the curtain slightly aside. At first, he saw nothing, just the darkness of the forest. But then he noticed movement. Something crawled out of the shadows. It was a figure, small and hunched, with long, bony limbs that twisted unnaturally as it approached. Its skin was pale, almost translucent, and its eyes glowed with an eerie red light. Jonas couldn't look away. He felt his throat go dry as the creature, a Crowler, drew nearer. The Crowler raised its bony hand and scratched at the window again, as if asking to be let in. Jonas wanted to scream, but no sound came out. He was paralyzed with fear. The creature smiled, a cruel, twisted grin that revealed its sharp, yellow teeth. Then Jonas heard a voice, whispering, deep and full of malice. "Come with me, little boy. Come, play with me in the forest." The words seemed to pierce directly into his mind, wrapping around his thoughts like vines. Reluctantly, yet unable to resist, Jonas opened the window. The cold night air hit him, but he barely felt it. The Crowler stretched out its bony fingers and grasped Jonas's hand. The grip was icy, painful, but Jonas followed the creature, stepping out into the darkness. The trees seemed to close in above him as the Crowler led him deeper into the forest. The whispering grew louder, more menacing, as they approached the heart of the woods. Jonas knew he wouldn't return, yet his feet carried him forward, ever onward. Finally, they reached a clearing surrounded by tall, ancient trees. In the center stood a large, moss-covered rock, where the Crowler sat down. It pulled Jonas close, its red eyes gleaming in the moonlight. "Here you will stay," whispered the Crowler, and its grin widened. "Here you will play forever. With me." The last sounds ever heard from Jonas were his soft cries, carried away by the wind before they faded into the stillness of the forest. The next morning, the villagers found only his empty bed and the open window. No one knew what had happened, but the elders in the village spoke for years of the Crowler who lived in the woods, waiting for small, careless children. Since that night, no child dared to leave the window open when the moon hung over the forest.